Look in my eyes, what do you say? The cult of personality.
Greetings, every people. This is your cult of personality here. ToonKritic's the name, and Toon's the name of my game. And welcome to a new installment of the Lightning Round. Yes, I know CarToonZ was the one to create this, but I think I'm going to continue it. Oh yes, and I have a new, lovely little form to use too, exclusively for the Lightning Round. Much thanks to Prince Lionel for this. There's been a few new movies out recently I wanted to cover, so I'm going to take a look at 5 of them, as suggested and voted by you, the fans. So let's begin. Suicide Squad. After the train wreck that was Batman v Superman left even some of the most diehard DC fans going, yeah, man, we tried. We now come to what many hoped would be a turnaround for DC, and for the most part, it's succeeded. It presents plenty of characters right off the bat and does a great job of giving them screen time and moments to shine, especially with Deadshot and Harley Quinn as both Will Smith and Margot Robbie turn in solid standout performances. You get some decent popcorn flick action you'd expect from DC, but while I can tell Suicide Squad's trying a few new things, it comes across as edgy and quirky in some places, which, from my understanding, DC's wanted to stay straight serious, so you can see how weird it feels to watch this movie. This didn't bomb as bad as I thought it would. They could have improved on some parts, like with the Joker, which I had no idea what direction they wanted to take him, and with the story itself, because the pacing just went all over the place. If they were trying to be like Diet Guardians of the Galaxy, they succeeded. I found myself only invested in half the cast and seeing the rest of them being there just to be there, like Captain Boomerang and Slipknot. Either way, see it for yourself. I'm at least curious to see how they will do with Justice League and with Wonder Woman in the future. I give this movie a stack of relationship counseling bills out of 5, because if you want a relationship just like the Joker and Harley Quinn, you may want to do your research. X-Men Apocalypse. Man, I love the X-Men movies, X2 and Days of Future Past being my 2 favorites. And Apocalypse was not as great as either of those. Though disappointed in some areas, the 3rd movie in the new X-Men series was overall pretty awesome. Same feel, same atmosphere, same characters we're familiar with, kind of, including a convoluted and somewhat confusing story. What's weird is that I felt the bar was set pretty high for such a dangerous villain like Apocalypse, but this movie didn't build up Apocalypse enough as a character or a villain to meet said bar. X-Men has always had a problem with juggling characters, and that was this movie's biggest problem. You're re-establishing characters we already know with an attempt to set up another rebooted team. That's risky territory. We know how well reboots do these days. However, Xavier, Magneto, Mystique, Quicksilver, they look strong from their past movies, so I can see where the priorities lied at least. Sad to say, as great as this was, this is probably the weakest in the rebooted trilogy. But with that being said, there's still plenty to enjoy here if you've enjoyed the past series. Familiar action, comedy characters, but it's lacking the intensity of Days of Future Past. Still enjoyed it, but it could have been better. And it's funny because they even take a stab at X3 by saying the 3rd is usually the worst out of the trilogies. Little did they know that Apocalypse would be their own X3. I give this a Deadpool mask out of 5 because Deadpool makes anything better. Actually, yeah, he probably would have made this movie like 10 times better. The Secret Life of Pets. So the weird thing about this movie is that the general hype for this movie went away a week after this was released. It certainly wasn't Zootopia or Finding Dory, but maybe I was expecting too much. This is a movie I tried to enjoy more, but simply found it adequate. Once again, we're introduced to a ton of characters left and right, but I learned quickly that the only characters that actually mattered I could count on one hand, and the rest of them were walking jokes and punchlines. Probably just characters that could be sold in a kid's Happy Meal. Oh wait. The other thing that bothered me was the humor. I couldn't quite place it at first, but then I remembered. This is a movie from Illumination, the same people behind the freaking Minions. The jokes fell flat and the characters lacked any depth other than maybe the main character, the cat, and the supposed love interest. If you're gonna have so many different characters, find a way to balance them and have them matter, or just stick to the ones you plan to develop and only those. Simple as that. That's what I like to call the Cars effect. Still, this movie did what it was supposed to and presented the whole Secret Life idea in a way that kids will at least enjoy. It's enjoyable if you're not looking for a deep story. The voice cast is solid, the animation looks great, so I think I'll just let it slide. I'd rather take this over the Minions any day anyway. At least it gave me something to remember that I actually cared about. I will never understand the appeal to those freaks of nature. Anyway, I give this a Happy Meal out of 5. Also, Kevin Hart, you stole the show through this. Kudos. Speaking of which, Central Intelligence. If you had told me that the duo of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart being in a spy movie would be one of the funniest movies this year, I'd probably scoff. But no, it actually is. The Rock is one of my all-time favorite actors / wrestlers, and I'm so used to seeing him as the burly, rough and tough action star he was meant to be. The comedy twist to his character, though, I feel they got the casting for this part down to a T. Kevin Hart is also at his best here, I think, also, playing in a weird way the pseudo straight man to The Rock's goofy character. The role reversal makes for some pretty funny parts in the movie, but I won't lie and say I felt there were some parts where the joke missed what it was actually going for. And I love me a good spy thriller. I love the little twists and turns they throw in here, but boy, oh boy, do they leave you wondering what the heck is really going on in this movie. You got a comedy highlighting The Rock at his actiony best and his comedic best. It works. It really works. And this movie hits all the marks I'm looking for. The only real complaints I have are with the side cast, minus the little cameos. Those were kind of funny. And I guess the awkward moral at the end, I can't explain it, you'll have to see it for yourself. But the way they go about this, though, developing and revealing more of the characters, let's just say it all makes more sense in the end. I give this movie a big CGI Johnson out of 5, and no, I'm not even kidding. Imagine The Rock as a big fat kid. Cringy, yes. Cringily hilarious, also yes. And finally, Batman, the Killing Joke. Jesus, how many animated Batman movies are we getting this year? Anyway, this one is very special for a lot of fans since it's adapting a legendary storyline from the DC universe. Now, I give DC a lot of crap these days, but when they get it right, they get it right. I loved this movie. I've always admired the art style DC's been pumping out here, but this, I think, is their finest work. Authentic, I think, is the word, since we've got Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Tara Strong returning to voice the characters from the animated series. Voices that you've been familiar with for years help set the tone for this movie. But it's weird, I didn't grow up with the animated series as deep as everyone else did, but you know, some things still click no matter what. A lot of people were not too high on the Batgirl prologue, though. I thought it was pretty deep. It helped add some depth to her character and makes what happens later more meaningful. When the main story starts, things go all over the place. I especially love the focus on the Joker here with his backstory. It was just enough to show into his past and leave plenty of room for more interpretation. This movie is solid all around with little to complain about because it's faithful to its source material with top-notch voice acting and animation to boot. There was real dedication here behind this, and you can definitely see that. If you pick any DC movie this year, please go and see this one. I give this one a pair of bat nipples out of 10. And with that being said, I am the Toon Critic, keeping you totally tuned for your entertainment. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.